Rise, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. Do we have any visitors or public comments tonight? Mr. Everett, would you please take a microphone? You got your show and tell with you?
Oh, I do indeed.
Got junk, huh?
First thing I'd like, John Everett, 2111 Turk Road. Can I close this?
I wouldn't. No.
I might.
No.
There's another one over there. I can start reading off of it. But anyway, not to waste your time. I was at the zoning hearing meeting last night, and I just wanted to make a comment that I was impressed with the patience and fortitude of the members of the board to have a sense of what they have to sit through sometimes. And I particularly want to point out, Mr. McPherson, is he the chairman? Anyway, came very well prepared, and the thing that was amazing to me was that he cited a ruling that happened, I think, in 1982 when he was still on the board, or when he was on the board originally. So, long-serving person in Doylestown, and I thought that they rendered a fair judgment on the case before him. But I just wanted to say that I was impressed with their preparation, and even more so than the people that came before them were unaware of a ruling that had taken place. So I was pretty impressed. But at the risk of being a cranky old man, I love Doylestown. I've lived here for 45 years, and I think it's a beautiful place. And one of my hobbies is to, when it's safe and I have time, I collect these signs that are on the side of the road, which I believe are not only an eyesore but a zoning violation. And I think this is the most ironic one of all, that got junk. Yeah, well, they're doing their own business, but this is particularly distressing to me. This Bucks County Tree Service, but they're not the only offenders, come and throw this on everybody's property. And I consider this litter. I mean, it's not only offensive as an eyesore, but it's litter. Somebody's got to go out and pick it up. Is there anything we can do, you can do? And I mean, I do what I can do to clean up, because I have a thing about litter. I can't stand to see litter. I'm picking up trash all the time. But this is institutional, and it's a form of advertising, and I believe anytime somebody throws something on my lawn, I already call them up and I say, you will never get my business, and you shouldn't do this, I'm going to report you to the township. These people, anytime got junk, anytime I see them, I call them up and I say, I found a sign of yours, and it's going in the trash. So, whatever can be done, I don't know what can be done, but I would appreciate if something could be done institutionally from Doylestown Township's point of view. Writing letters, citing that. I don't know what you can do, but it's endemic. It's everywhere. So that's my pitch.
For the board's edification, our code enforcement department constantly picks up roadside signs like that. I've seen them stop, and they have them back out there.
I don't mind doing it because I just think it's an eyesore, but it's a waste of time. And it's a form of advertising that's illegal.
Yeah. So.
Well, we should look at our sign ordinances, because they shouldn't be able to do that.
Well, I know they shouldn't be able to, but what could you do? Could you cite them?
You can cite them. You can, absolutely. So
Can we cite them? Fine.
We actually, our code enforcement department, which really is Sinclair, one person, goes out, picks them up regularly, and then to get their signs back, they have to pay to get them back. And they're given a citation saying that they, are in violation of our ordinances for basically off-premise signage.
Well, how many
And so,
times do people actually come in and give their signs? They're
not
coming
usually.
over anyway.
Yeah, they usually end up getting thrown. A lot of times I have seen them come. Somebody just came recently and picked them up and paid for the return of them.
Thanks, Mr. Everett. We're going to look at the ordinance, see if we can put a little more teeth into it, okay? Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Visitors' comment? All right, got a boatload of announcements here. A lot going on in Doylestown Township. Our next meeting is May 7th, Tuesday, May 7th. Kids Castle's closed, and they anticipate opening the end of June of this year. Local Government Week is this week, April 15th through the 19th. We're hosting a violence prevention forum tomorrow here at the Township Building, 3 to 5 p.m. The Great American Cleanup, sponsored by the Doylestown Community Bike and Hike Committee, is Saturday, April 20th, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And we're meeting at the 202 Parkway Path at the Walter C. Berry Trailhead on New Britain Road. Arbor Day planting is April 20th, 8 a.m. to noon at New Britain Road. Entrance to the Central Park. The concert to benefit Kids Castle is April 20th, 3 to 5 p.m. at the Amphitheater in Central Park. Touch a Truck, Saturday, May 4th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Central Park. It's a free event. Community Yard Sale is Saturday, May 4th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Central Park. It's $25 per space. Spring has Sprung celebration at the dog park, Saturday, May 11th, noon to 4 p.m. There's a meet and greet, raffles, demonstrations, food, and lots of fun. The Home Run Derby is Thursday, May 15th, 5 p.m. until dusk at Turk Baseball Fields. Pre-registration is required. And check out our website for registration information. And the annual Doylestown Township Golf Outing, Monday, June 3rd, at Doylestown Country Club. Registration deadline is May 17th. We're looking for foursome sponsors. All proceeds benefit the park system. Okay. Minutes approval for April 2nd, 2013.
Move for approval.
May I have a second? I'll second. Questions, comments, changes? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
One abstention? Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Wow. Okay, we were presented with numerous PSATs, proposed resolution of bylaw changes. I assume everyone saw them, read them, were amused by some of them, and inspired by others. So what do we need here? We need a motion to approve the...
No, your voting delegate will take care of this at the conference on Tuesday, April 23rd. This is just for the board's edification. If there's any concerns that you want to share with Tom before he votes on any of them, that would be appropriate. But it's really for the board's information.
Okay, thank you. Reports from the solicitor.
Nothing we won't discuss later in the agenda, Madam Chairperson.
Chief?
Included in your packet is a letter from Matthew Johnson of Pannoni Associates to Stephanie Mason dated April 9th, 2013. This basically addresses an issue that was brought before the board some time ago regarding traffic calming on North Street. It's based upon the letter. It's Pannoni's consensus is that the borough has satisfied all their concerns regarding the traffic calming along North Street. Specifically posting our side of the road, no parking from East Street all the way up to Swamp Road. If the board wishes, I could bring this to the Traffic Commission and proceed with the posting of the no parking regulation.
The pleasure of the board?
Yes.
Okay, do we need to vote on that?
Yeah, you asked for all this information to be brought back. If we have the board's consensus, we will let the borough know they can proceed. I know they're anxious to get started with the nice spring weather we're having.
Okay, what do you think, guys? Is there a motion to approve the traffic calming efforts on Chapman? Where's it, Chapman?
North and
Fontaine Drive.
Are there any speed humps or bumps?
No.
No, it's...
Okay. Because I know we do those before we have to reach an agreement, but in writing, so
Yeah.
we don't need that here.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right. Any questions or comments? All in favor of the motion? All right. Thank you. Thanks, Chief. Anything else?
Nothing further.
Engineer?
Nothing at this time.
Okay. Manager?
At the board's request, you asked me to look at the idea of going to one meeting a month. I went back over the last year. Since April of 2012, we've had 20 meetings, and the lengths of the meetings have averaged about 45 minutes. Typically, if we end up with 2 meetings in a month, we end up with one being over an hour, the other being anywhere really short of about 20, 25 minutes or less. Typically, we also we don't hold the second meeting in July, August, and September and November. So at this point, since we haven't had a lot of agenda items, typically tonight we have a heavier agenda, but then the first meeting is typically very light. Like we were a few weeks ago, we only were done in 17 minutes. So it would be my suggestion to the board to consider going to one meeting a month, whereby you could spend maybe about an hour and a half or so. It's probably be typical on that one meeting a month.
Does that save staff time and resources?
It would, certainly. You wouldn't setting up the TV station, everything like that, bringing everybody out, air conditioning.
And if we needed a meeting, we could have one?
Absolutely. You can always advertise for another meeting.
Is it easier to advertise for another meeting or to wait until the agenda starts to develop to find out that there's not enough agenda items to then cancel that meeting, as I think we've done in the past?
Typically, if you cancel, you can just put a note on the door on the website indicating that it's canceled. If you have more time note, you can do an ad as well. But typically, when the committees cancel, they usually just need to put a note on the door. So it's kind of 6 one, half a dozen of the other.
What's the advantage of changing it to this, as opposed to waiting to see what the agenda is, for example, for the first meeting in September or whatever, and then saying, well, there's not enough agenda items, canceling like we have been doing, as opposed to canceling September right now?
That's a bad example. We don't have a first meeting in September.
Pick your
Yeah.
month.
It's been November.
November.
I don't know.
Yeah, you can.
So we can leave everything
People
on the
would know
books.
ahead of time what the plan was. I mean, you'll know it. You'll have it advertised as a change and everything like that in your schedule. If not, you can just wait.
The advertising costs money, where the canceling doesn't cost money.
True.
Well, that's
So you can just
that's
wait.
a few
and cancel.
dollars.
Ideas? Suggestions?
Well, I just think we should continue, if we have it scheduled, have it. If it's nothing on the agenda, cancel it and go from there.
Okay.
This way we would have it, if in case we do need it. If we start canceling meetings, then we'd have to put everything back together again. It does take, I think, a lot more time to do that.
Once Rick points out, it's easier to cancel them than to schedule one.
Right.
Okay. Any comments? I saw a hand. Yes.
Ken Snyder, 50 Foxcroft Drive, Doylestown. I'm glad to hear that you decided to go this route, because I would recommend or suggest that instead of just looking at time as a basis as to have it once a month or twice a month, which is important, but I would look at what are the other things we should be talking about and make the agenda more full versus just saying we don't have enough and let's cancel the meetings. So I think, to me, the appropriate way would be to go is to keep them scheduled and put them in the Google groups or whatever it is to send a note out. That's an easy way for people to get it, that it's canceled. So I would strongly suggest that. So I support what you're going to go for.
Okay, thanks. All right, so we'll leave everything as it is. All right, thank you.
The second item I had came out of the Open Space Committee. The Park Board has been working with Karen and Judy Goldstein and some others from Park Board on the creation of a sensory trail in Central Park. And that was taken to the Open Space Committee and April 1st, and the Open Space Committee did recommend using the county open space funding that we have for the sensory trail, $200,000 for that project. And they are prepared, if the board approves it, to go to the county and make that request as well. And I know this board has seen that sensory trail presentation previously, and of course, John Bray's here from the Park Board, and Karen is here as well. So if you have any questions, and also a couple other people from the Park Board are back there too.
Do all the members have the opportunity to see the sensory trail? And we've had presentations on it what are your thoughts on the allocation of open space money to this project?
I love it. I think it's excellent. I think we've walked the turf. We've been out into where the proposed trail is, and I'm in full support of it.
Thank you. Any?
I think it's a great idea as well.
Con?
Well, I think so, too. I think it's an asset. It's good use. I would continue with it.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Walter?
I have one last thing.
200,000.
It's a county open space money.
I understand.
Right.
I have one last thing. This has to do with the dog park. Borough Council is recommending 2 appointments to the dog park. Caitlin Kuskin and Melissa Russell. Both borough residents take those spots that have been allocated for the borough, and that's their recommendation for the appointments, and confirmation pursuant to the resolution would be for the board to make them.
I'll entertain a motion to appoint the 2 young women to the dog park committee.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
And that's all I have.
Supervisors. Sean?
Okay. Thank you. First off, I guess we could talk about a lot going on with the Park and Rec Board, but I know there's a lot on the agenda, so I'll try to keep it all short tonight. The Game Grove, which you see up at the exit of the Central Park, site work has begun. It's kind of ongoing, and there's some silt fencing up and all, but we'll start to see some things spring up there going into the summer. They're making progress. The Life Trail, which I want to just pass to the board, the images here, is just waiting on, I think right now, the Conservation District permit. Is that right, Karen? And assuming there's no surprises there and that goes through, we too will see some progress started there. And I understand by summertime, without nailing down anything specific, we'll see both of those should come to fruition. You mentioned, of course, the Sensory Trail, and that this move tonight will give a big opportunity for that to move forward. Let's see. The Bike and Hike Committee, just this morning we met with Don Borden and a class from Del Val College that we're in, and they came to discuss with the Bike and Hike Committee their efforts or intention for a long-term project to work with New Britain Borough and the surrounding municipalities, a way of just what we've done with the Bike and Hike system, with networking, tying access together, and other talks with the train station and so on, and SEPTA and everybody else. Any event, it just sounds like an exciting project. They're just getting their feet wet with it, but we should see more from that. I know, let me see here. As well, we had an opportunity to meet with some other representatives from the community with long-term planning, and everybody knows, I guess, with the Bike and Hike Committee, nothing happens overnight. Sometimes this is, I guess, 20 years now that's been going on. So if we talk about something today, it could be 5 years down the road. But they're discussing some options on Lower State Road and with the community down there to try to improve that access for both runners and bikers, from the college and the parkway down through the borough. Otherwise, I just encourage everybody to come out to those meetings, because there's other exciting things in the Chamonix Greenway and other projects that are going on. Lastly, I apologize again for my absence of the last meeting, and I want to thank everybody for their kind words and wishes and prayers for our youngest son. We spent some time down at CHOP, and thank God everything's much better. But again, thanks to everybody, just publicly. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom?
Yes, I've had kind of an exciting last couple of weeks. Back on Friday, April the 5th, we had the Central Bucks Regional Task Force on Aging had a seminar regarding fraud alert and scamming and all kinds of things, and it was very interesting. It was more or less zeroed in on senior citizens who get taken advantage of by people either phone calling or people coming to the door or mailing something to you, and how they steal your identity and so forth. And it was done so well. It was about an hour and a half presentation, and it really gave you some ideas of what you shouldn't do. And it's on television, and I think everybody should maybe take a look at it and see some thoughts of things that how you should direct your life, so you don't put things out that these scammers can come and steal from you, and you steal your identity and use it to take advantage of you. So I think it was extremely well done, and I was very excited about it. Also, I was at the demolition, Sean, I guess, was away at the time, but at the Kids Castle, and that was very interesting to see how they were taking that down. That was done like piecemeal almost, putting the pieces in their pockets almost. It was done extreme. They didn't come in with a bulldozer and just push stuff over. They took everything down individually, and it was done extremely well. And I'm so excited about Kids Castle and the renovation of that, and I think that's a great asset for our community. I know my grandkids just love to go to Kids Castle, and when is that going to be open again, Poppy? So we want to keep that certainly going. And then, thirdly, I talked to Dick John regarding the fire hydrants, which have been shown along Turk Road, where they have the orange plastic over them, and it's been a long time coming. And a lot of people are concerned about when is that going to be available. Well, Dick John gave me some excitement. He said about 6 weeks we're going to have that in operation. Am I correct, Dick? And it's been that way for about at least 2 years now. And why do I say this? Because people who live along there who have fire hydrants can get a reduction on their home insurance because there's a fire hydrant close by within so many feet or yards or whatever they call. And I just thought that was exciting that the municipal authority has been working on this project for quite some time, and now it's going to come to fruition, and I think it's going to be a great asset for Doylestown Township. So that's, yes.
Just a question. Talk a little bit about why the delay. Why did it take the 2 years?
Well, I think they didn't have the pressure, or what. Dick would probably have to refer to that more or less than I.
Basically what happened, the money became available before we were ready. So we had to design it and get it done. We went out and sought a grant and got a grant for a project that was ready to go, but still needed a lot of work before we could even get into it. So we built the pipeline, and then we had to construct the pump station, which we're working on now.
Okay.
As soon as the pump station is done in a couple of weeks, that line will become operable.
Thank you. Anything else, Tom?
The access for public water, I mean, if somebody wants to hook up, will that come online, or the availability?
Well, it'll be there. I don't know exactly when that's supposed to come up, but...
Excuse me, everybody that abuts a line has the option to connect. We will send out a notice when that's available.
Okay, so, but it hasn't, when do you anticipate it being available?
Probably within 6 weeks.
Okay.
Before winter time.
Okay. Ryan, do you have anything?
I attended a nice meeting last week with Traffic Advisory Committee, and again, great group of individuals, and I enjoy going to those meetings every once a month. I also just want to publicly express my sadness for what took place yesterday in Boston. There were quite a few people from the Doylestown area that were actually running up at the Boston Marathon. So, it's just a stark reminder of how things can change in an instant. And I think we should all take advantage of the beautiful trails that we have around here. maybe get out there for those that run, and for even those that don't, get out there and this weekend and run or walk to honor those that we lost and those that were injured yesterday.
Good, thank you.
Of the several meetings I went to, I just want to mention two in particular. One is the EAC, which the chair, Ray Hendrick, is here. And, I mean, a lot was accomplished at that meeting. It was, we talked about the bird walk, still looking for more people to want to join on May 18th, go out and see the birds that we have. Discussed the 2013 summit planning and the work that's going on to renovate the bird blind. So we were able to get those and other issues moving along. The other one of the other ones that I attended was the Park and Rec, which John Bray is the chair, and moved along the Game Grove plan and the new exercise equipment that that we have here, and progress on the Century Trail. But the reason I just want to focus on those two is because neither of them had a quorum. And I appreciate Jeff Garten clarifying when the subject came up. A lot was accomplished at both of those meetings. Everybody agreed. And in the past, we would have not even had the meeting. So I appreciate Jeff's effort in clarifying that. We moved the ball further down the road, regardless of having a quorum. So thanks for clarifying it, Jeff, and that's all.
Thank you. Charlie Pressler is our EMS, Central Bucks Ambulance Executive Director, and he sent around an email yesterday, and from EMS World, it's I guess one of their professional magazines, and written up in this article is the exciting news that Doylestown Hospital and Central Bucks Ambulance are working together in the technology from the unit to the hospital in trying to meet Medicare standards, that if you have a heart issue or heart events, that within 90 minutes you have to get to a balloon, you have to get to a surgeon. With this new technology and this cooperative effort, they had a heart event and they were able to get all the information to the hospital from the EMS vehicle, and the balloon went in 28 minutes later. So what an incredible addition to our emergency services in Doylestown. 28 minutes when Medicare standards are 90. So this technology is incredible. And to Central Bucks Ambulance credit, I just wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. I think kudos to those two organizations looking out for us in this area. Thank you. And I see someone here from the hospital, coincidentally. I was not planned. All right, next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Weiss Market.
On or about March 15, 2013, Weiss Market filed an application with the township requesting that the Board of Supervisors approve an intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license. The license will be transferred from a location in Northampton Township to Weiss Market, Inc., located 73 Old Dublin Pike in the township, which is also known as a portion of Bucks County Tax Parcel 9-9-22-3. Current property owner is FWPA Mercer Square, and this location is the Weiss Market's facility on the Mercer Square Shopping Center. Notice of the hearing was advertised in the Intelligencer on March 29, 2013, and again on April 5, 2013. The application, as well as proof of publication of the notices I referred to above, are incorporated by reference into the record. I would note that provisions of the Pennsylvania Liquor Code at 47 PS 416 permit an intermunicipal transfer of a restaurant license, provided the Board of Supervisors conducts a public hearing and determines that the license will not be detrimental to the welfare, health, peace, and morals of the township. Obviously, the code requires you to approve it unless you make that finding. I would ask if anyone here desires to have party status to participate in the proceedings besides Mr. Kozar on behalf of Weiss Markets. I see no hands. So, sir, do you want to present whatever evidence you want to present, knowing full well we've incorporated your application, and perhaps you might just have somebody testify as to what you're planning so it's clear to the public here and on TV land as to what's envisioned?
Thank you, Mr. Solicitor. I didn't realize I was on TV. Where's the camera?
No, it's there.
We're streaming live.
Had I known, I would have combed my hair. My name is Mark Kozar. I'm with the law firm of Flaherty and O'Hara in Pittsburgh. I always like to throw out a little plug for our law firm, for those people out in TV land. Our sole area of practice is liquor law and liquor licensing. We do it throughout Pennsylvania and nationally. I'm here
We
this
know you're from Pittsburgh because we hear it in your voice. Now, if you say you're going to have a pop when the hearing's over, we'll know for sure you're from Pittsburgh.
I'm here tonight on behalf of Weiss Markets, Inc. With me is Dave Gill, Director of Architecture. We're here to request that Doylestown Township pass a resolution permitting the intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license from outside the township to within it pursuant to the Liquor Code Title 47, Section 461B3. The liquor license will be transferred to the Cafe Restaurant in Weiss Markets, located at 73 Old Dublin Pike in the former Gianotti's grocery store. I won't bore you with what the liquor code says because your solicitor did an outstanding job reciting what the standard is. Thus, in order for you to make a decision on our request, let me provide you a little bit of background on Weiss Markets. Weiss is a publicly traded company headquartered in Sunbury, Pennsylvania. It was founded in 1912. Weiss has grown to 162 stores in 5 states. Weiss currently employs more than 180,000 associates, including 150 here in the Doylestown Township store. At Weiss, their customers are their lifeblood. Weiss earns their customers' loyalty by delivering value and creating the best overall place to shop. They do this by employing quality associates, having the highest standards of honesty and integrity, being innovative, being a responsible corporate citizen. Weiss is active in the community. They help fight hunger by supporting local food banks and food pantries through its Fight Hunger program. Weiss supports local farmers in Pennsylvania. They buy over 20 million pounds of locally grown produce every year. Weiss is environmentally conscious. Annually, they recycle more than 23,000 tons of cardboard, 750 tons of plastic, and 329 tons of paper. Why is this all important? It's important because Weiss has a reputation for excellence. They simply have too much to lose to serve alcohol in a haphazard manner and will not do anything to jeopardize their reputation by mismanaging the service of alcohol. As you probably know, Weiss took over the space where Gianotti's was about a year ago. They've been operating a sit-down cafe restaurant in that store since they opened. That cafe offers prepared foods, including fresh rotisserie and fried chicken, entree meals like meatloaf, turkey, ham, and roasted sirloin. They also have sushi there, made-to-order subs, salads, pizza, sandwiches, and soups. As an added component to the existing cafe, Weiss is requesting the transfer of a liquor license into sale and consumption of malt and brewed beverages in the cafe and for takeout. Weiss currently has 15 cafe restaurants that have liquor licenses and are selling beer, and 3 more that are currently under construction. What we're seeking here is not something new or unusual. Over the past 6 years, the Pennsylvania Liquor Control Board has approved liquor licenses for over 100 grocery store-based restaurants, including the Wegmans down the road in Warrington. The cafe at Weiss is discreetly located in the right front corner of the store with interior seating for 32 and seasonal exterior seating. The cafe will be open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The hours of operation will be 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Monday through Saturdays and 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. On Sundays, with beer sales starting at 9 in the morning. There will be a dedicated cafe manager who will receive the Bureau of Liquor Control Enforcement developed ramp manager training. All cafe associates will receive the ramp server training. In addition, Weiss has a 100% carding policy. Everybody gets carded. Weiss utilizes either card readers or cash registers which lock out. In other words, they won't take a beer SKU unless you show an ID and the cashier inputs the birth date from the ID. Weiss has a self-imposed 2-beer limit for on-premise consumption. In addition, all beer purchases must be made at cafe cash registers. You won't be able to check beer out through the regular cash registers. Those cash registers won't take the beer SKUs. Weiss has 3 rotating security cameras that cover the complete cafe area. These cameras are monitored by security personnel. In addition, the cafe associates and manager physically monitor the cafe area and outdoor seating area. Cafe is not going to be a type of place where people come to hang out and drink. Why? Because there's a 2-beer limit. There's no entertainment in the form of video games, pool tables, etc. No live entertainment, no smoking, and a 2-beer limit. It will, however, be a well-lighted, safe, secure place for customers, of which 70% are women, can purchase prepared foods and a 6-pack of beer to take home. For these reasons, we request that Doylestown Township issue a resolution permitting the intermunicipal transfer of a liquor license for use by Weiss at their store on Old Dublin Pike. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, and if I can't, I'm sure Dave can.
Any questions from the board?
The monitoring, is that real-time monitoring, or do you record and then look?
Well, it's actually real-time monitoring, which is also recorded.
Okay.
I have a question. The outside cafe area or dining area you referred to?
Yes.
Which I think probably all familiar with. It's not cordoned off, and it's just like picnic tables of sorts, isn't it?
Right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
What would be, so?
It will. The PLCB requires a 4-foot-high fencing of sorts to surround the outdoor licensed area. Mm-hmm. So there will be a physical separation between the sidewalk area and the cafe seating.
Is there already something in place that prohibits folks from taking open beverages off the porch, and I don't know, like any other establishment with
not at this time.
No, but I mean that's the intention, or
it's as I say, it's a requirement by the PLCB that there be a 4-foot-high separation between public place and licensed area.
Right. No, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm denser or not getting it. What I meant was, can you then take that beer, walk out, open, you can't carry open beverage outside, go through the grocery store and leave, correct?
You have to know whether if you serve someone a beer outside, can they pick it up and walk in the parking lot?
Or through the grocery store and drink it. I mean, or do you have to consume it in the
you have to area? You have to consume it in the licensed area.
All right. Thank you.
I'm sorry if I misunderstood your question.
No, I didn't phrase it clearly. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yeah. What is Weiss Market's internal policy on releasing the videotapes?
They will cooperate with the police in any way possible. If there's ever an incident at that store and you believe that there's something on a videotape that will help you investigate that incident, Weiss is at your beck and call with respect to videotapes.
And their policy as far as reporting immediate violations?
Dave?
Yeah, we have, I guess, 2 ways of reporting it.
Can you please take the microphone? I'm sorry, since we're live here. Thank you.
My name's Dave Gill. I'm the Director of Architecture for Wise Markets. As far as reporting incidents, we have, I guess, 2 ways of doing that. The PLCB comes and regularly inspects us. So if there is the idea that they come in and they try to buy more beer than is allowed by law, and if we fail in that, which we almost, we're very good at, but if you are failed, that gets reported automatically. If we fail in some other regard, we really haven't had that situation. If there is a known incident, or if there's a problem with unruly guests, we would certainly call the police right away. I'm not sure if that answers your question.
The reason I ask is because we have had, since Weiss took over, some incidents regarding other types of criminal activity at the store where the information coming out of the store has been less than quick.
Okay.
I just want to make some assurances that if there's violations of the liquor law or any type of alcohol consumption type things, that we are going to get the information that we're asking for.
Okay. I'm not sure what your other issues were, but I know that our respect for the laws, when we operate a pharmacy with narcotics, when we sell tobacco, and that's another controlled substance, we take those very, very seriously, and we comply 100% with a request, and we would do the same so with the PLCB liquor laws.
Chief, I would suggest that there's somebody you need to confer with about this, that they'll provide you with a name and the person to call.
Absolutely. If there's been a problems or slow response, I'd be happy to get you in touch with the right person.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any public questions?
Wow.
Why don't we start with you, Ken, up at the microphone? Ken? Yeah.
Ken Snyder, what's the additional revenue you expect to generate out of doing this? Because you're doing this obviously to generate sales on other stuff, so what's the benefit you're going to see out of this move?
It's increased food sales.
5%, 10%, what does it mean?
The idea is not to sell beer. The idea is to get people to buy food to go and a six-pack of beer. They come in. If a person comes in for a six-pack of beer, more times than not, they're going to buy something else. So the whole idea of beer sales is to drive food sales.
Ray, why don't you, anyone who wants to speak, why don't you just get in line?
Ray Hendrick, since it's a transfer, I'd like to know the previous location, they're relinquishing their license to pass it on. Why are they relinquishing their license in Northampton?
To tell you the truth, I don't know. There's a county quota system, and if you want to buy a liquor license in Pennsylvania, within any county, you have to go out on the open market and buy it. You can't apply to the PLCB and get a restaurant liquor license.
You're not aware of any problems with it in Northampton?
No.
Thank you.
I had one question for the supervisor. Is there a limit to the number of...
Give your name for the...
John Everett.
John Everett. I'm still John Everett, 2111. Number of liquor licenses within the township?
There are limitations, but the limitations are now county limitations, as long as there's approval, and the approval is required unless you can prove that the transfer is detrimental to the welfare, health, peace, and morals of the township. So it used to be a finite limitation per municipality. That relinquished it by saying it's more of a county limitation now than a township or borough limitation.
Okay, and the retention of your video surveillance tapes, what's the corporate policy on retention?
Dave, do you know?
I believe we keep on-site tapes as long as a week, but we keep them much longer than that, back at corporate offices. I couldn't tell you the indefinite time period, but I know that on-site they keep them at least a week.
Joe Patanastro on Elk Road. As far as security, you said you monitor it 24 hours a day. Is that a local monitor, or are you doing it at corporate headquarters?
You might just stand
We actually monitor both in the building with our own personal security inside the building, but that is also monitored off-site through a security company. Those people are tied directly into our corporate headquarters as well. Those people get calls all times of the day and night for various reasons. And so, yes, we're monitored both on and off-site.
Is your corporate security in touch with the chief in case they see something that your local people don't?
Absolutely.
So they have telephone numbers of all the chiefs in the whole?
They do.
I forgot to ask, is that camera exterior as well? On the monitoring?
We have cameras both in the building, and we have them outside monitoring the parking lot.
Oh, yeah, but I mean where the alcohol will be served or the beer might be served. Would that...
Currently, right now, we don't have one covering the outside seating area, but when we build this, there will be one.
Okay. Other questions from the public?
Board action would be, if you're so inclined, would be to approve the resolution authorizing the transfer.
I have another question first.
Okay.
You said it's the intention not to, someone asked about regarding, Ken asked, I think, about what do you expect us to do? produce. And I'm not interested in percentages of sales, but your intention is for this to be almost like an accessory to bring in increased food sales, right?
Correct.
But what's to keep that from the opposite? You know what I mean? Like from the beer being the primary sale, and then the food just being an accessory. I mean, if I can just add to that, I think I was in a Weiss's up in Lehigh, maybe in Orland, near Orland. That they must have obviously a license because they've got like a big room with, you know what I mean, like walls of beer. Right. Is that a different setup than what you have planned? It looks like a big beverage store.
Were you in Fogelsville?
I don't remember. I don't know. I really don't.
Someplace else.
Someplace else in here, yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. But the question was, if that wasn't your store, then I'm wrong. But if it's what I recall, it looked much more than just like a cooler with some cases or not cases, but some six-packs and that. And so what's to keep that from changing? Or is that the vision you have for it? Is it like walls of display for beverages, and I'm assuming there's no tap, is there? Okay.
There is no tap, and I can tell you that the beer sales is a small percentage of our overall business. Just like a pharmacy, years ago was never considered part of a grocery store, or being able to buy stamps at a grocery store was not considered part of a grocery store. This is really now considered more of an accessory. This is, part of what people expect as a convenience option, for a grocery store. So even though it may be a small part of a grocery store, it's something that's starting to become, almost a necessity as part of the overall convenience. It would be kind of like saying, well, I can go to the grocery store, but I can't buy chips. They got pretzels, but no chips. So this is more of a convenience aspect for us and part of staying competitive in the marketplace and responding to what consumers are looking for. We do know that selling bread and butter is exactly that for us. That's our main business, and we would never do anything that would, harm that or put that at risk. We have over 160 grocery stores that we run. Currently, we have 15 stores that have beer sales that we run. We know what is most important to us, but we also know that this is a changing market and that this is something that consumers are starting to require as part of their normal shopping experience.
Thank you.
Sure.
Is there the traditional 2 6-pack limit like you would get at a bar?
Absolutely.
Is that per day?
No.
So the license triggers, if someone goes out the parking lot and comes back in?
Typically, yeah, it's per trip.
Yeah, it's per trip, although, quite frankly, at the price point, if you're going to buy more than 2 6-packs, go to a beer distributor or get a better price.
Well, you're just selling wine and beer, no hard liquor?
No beer.
No.
No wine. Just beer.
Oh, no
Tom.
wine, just beer. Oh, I thought you, okay.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the resolution
Since I don't like beer, I don't care.
of Doylestown Township approving the transfer of the restaurant liquor license R20365 into Doylestown Township from Northampton Township?
Yes.
Is there a motion to
I'll
approve?
make a motion, we approve.
Okay. Rick, second. Any other questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Hearing nothing. That was right at the last second.
Woke him up.
I think about it, it's not. I'm Chris Sussinguth. How does the township benefit from this?
There is no benefit
We
to
don't.
the township except that they have additional employees, they pay earned income tax, and I guess they would view it as service to our residents.
Okay.
Nice try. Thank you. All right, hurry up.
This is like the never-ending question.
I know, sorry. Recognizing that it's not your primary business, but in other places where you've done this, what, if any, impact have you seen on those beer distributors that do operate in the same area? There's 2 in that area, and so I would hate to see a negative impact on them as well.
I spent 4 years of my life litigating that issue with the Malt Beverage Distributors Association. Went to the Commonwealth Court twice and the State Supreme Court. And the State Supreme Court found that there was no competitive harm that the PLCB is not violating any of their rules by issuing licenses that have an interior connection to a restaurant in a grocery store. Anecdotally, one of the first places that we put a restaurant liquor license into a grocery store cafe was Wegmans up in State College. And one of the protestants, as part of the MBDA, was a local beer distributor. Fast forward 4 years after the state Supreme Court rules on the issue, we start applying for liquor licenses, for restaurant liquor licenses for the Giant Eagle chain of grocery stores, which is in western Pennsylvania. One of the local reporters calls up this beer distributor in State College and say, well, it's been 4 years now since Wegmans has been selling beer. What kind of harm have you suffered? And the response in the newspaper was, we haven't suffered any harm. As a matter of fact, we sell more craft beer now than we ever did before because people buy it by the six-pack at Wegmans, decide they like it, and then come to our place to buy it by the case.
Anything else? Calling the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
5-0. Nay? Whoop,
Nay.
whoop. Nay. 1. 4 and 1 nay. Good luck. Do they still call Giant Eagle the Big Bird? Safe travels back to Pittsburgh. Thank you. New business, stream crossing and bridge review.
You voted no.
Huh? Oh, Sean, you voted no?
I was nay.
Yeah,
It was
Sean.
Sorry. Thank you. This evening with us, we have Roman Jastrzebski, who is the bridge engineer, and he has completed the bridge assessment from our 34 bridges and stream crossings in the township. The board will recall back in the fall during our budget work sessions, we discussed having this project completed. He has been working diligently to complete it. You have a very detailed report and some recommendations from Dick John. He has a presentation regarding the stream crossings and bridges and the priorities. Roman?
Thank you. Good evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Roman Jastrzebski. I'm principal engineer of Jastrzebski Engineers Incorporated. We are a consulting civil and structural engineering firm, and one of our specialties is bridges. Back in the fall of 2012, Doylestown Township retained us to conduct a bridge prioritization study. Essentially, it's part of an infrastructure asset management program that the township wanted to implement. So what we did was we got a list of all the stream crossings from the township that they're aware of, and there were 33 crossings on that list. We happened to stumble over an extra one as we were doing our study. So I called Dick John and I said, "You want me to add it to the list?" He said, "Sure, why not?" So we have 34 stream crossings that we visually observed and conducted condition assessments on. This is a location map. I'll try to talk a little bit louder in my natural voice, which Chief Logan can attest is fairly loud. This map was prepared by Pickering Courts of Somerset Township Engineers for Doylestown Township. What my firm did was annotate it with locations of the stream crossings based upon the list that we received from the township. So that hopefully everybody can see. What I did was I highlighted all 34 bridges in dots, and I hope no one's colorblind because I apologize if you are, but there's 4 red dots, 3 yellow dots, and the rest are green dots. I'm going to focus my presentation this evening on the red dots and the yellow dots. The red dots represent 4 bridges after conducting our condition assessment that we determined to be high priority bridges in terms of funding for maintenance, repairs, rehabilitation, or reconstruction. Now, that doesn't mean that they're necessarily in the worst shape bridges in the municipality. What that means is that they need to be studied in detail, and there needs to be a plan implemented in the short term, the very short term, to do maintenance that we know is required on those bridges, based upon our visual observations and our study of reports that were done by others. In some situations, we had reports that we received from the township that were done by PennDOT, and those PennDOT reports and the results of those reports were used to essentially help us develop this list as well. So what you'll see is the 4 locations that are in red dots are the high priority, what we call the high priority bridges, to establish budgets and to do in-depth inspections on in the very short term. The yellow dots, there's 3 of them, 3 yellow dots, represent the bridges that we feel should also be inspected, in-depth inspected in the short term, but they didn't seem to show that there was a lot of damage or there were no overt signs of major distress, but there were concerns enough that we wanted to put them on a list to be inspected in detail, just in case we couldn't see anything on a single site visit, single field view. The green dots represent bridges that we felt did not need to be inspected immediately. They could be inspected over the course of the next year or 2, but that we felt that the township should inspect in detail to have a baseline for future action. And that means to determine what that condition is as of the date of that in-depth inspection, and that becomes a baseline, sort of like your first EKG. You're just establishing a baseline for what that condition is at that time, and then you can develop a program to address future inspections, the frequency of those inspections, maintenance or repairs that might be needed on those green dotted structures. So the structures are composed of bridges, culverts, and pipes. So we have a mix of the 3, and they vary in size as well. I believe the smallest one is a 18-inch diameter pipe. I want to hand out, I believe the board got some of this in a package last week. This is our executive summary. Essentially, it's a condensed version of our findings from the study.
Thank you.
And what I'd like to do is basically just highlight for you the high priority bridges. Spring Valley Road, between New Road and Pebble Hill Road. This is number 1 on our ranking of structures that need to be inspected in the very short term. The condition ratings for this bridge are the superstructure, which is the deck, is in poor condition. Substructure, which are the foundations, they're in poor condition. The barriers or railings, they're in poor condition. The approach roadway is in fair condition, but it's narrow. So that's why it got a fair, because it actually, based on its condition, it's in fair condition. It's just narrow. It's only about 16 to 17 feet wide there, and it's supposed to be a 2-lane road. The stream is fair to poor condition. There's a lot of accumulation of debris in the stream. There's some felled trees. There's some scour, and there's some erosion undermining going on at that bridge. What we did was we took some photos, and I've highlighted 4 photos for each of the bridges. The first photo here on the left is a photo of the bridge taken from the upstream end. Now, this bridge is a slab founded on stone masonry abutments. It's a fairly old structure. There's no origination date on the bridge, but you can see, this is what you see from the top. What you can't see is what we saw when we went underneath, and that is a slab that's has a significant amount of cracking, has a big belly in it, meaning that it's sagged, which is not a good sign. The foundations have some undermining and some erosion and some cracking, and it has been repaired, but it's nearing the end of its useful service life. We recommend that it be in-depth inspected and rated for a load weight rating to see if it meets current standards, because right now it's not rated. There's no information available on this bridge. The second bridge on the priority list is Edison Road near Quarry Road. Now, we had a lot of information on this bridge because it's currently being inspected by PennDOT on their biannual bridge inspection program. So we used that information and we came up with our condition ratings. The superstructure, we agree with the PennDOT report, it's in fair condition. Substructure, we agree it's in fair condition. The barriers and railings, they're also in fair condition. The approach roadway, we agree with PennDOT and we disagree. There's actually some areas that are in fair condition. Based on PennDOT's report, we agree with that, but there are some areas in the approach roadways that are in poor condition that need attention. The stream, we agreed with PennDOT's consultant that it's fair to poor condition. There's areas where it's fine, and there's other areas where there's evidence of stream scour and undermining. Again, we went under the bridge. This is a photo of the downstream end, the downstream and upstream ends, and we went under the bridge to find rebar that's exposed. It's already heavily corroded. There's some concrete spalling, there's some concrete deterioration, delamination, and then we took a close-up of one of those areas. This bridge is on the list as number 2 because we agree with PennDOT's ratings, but in order to make sure that those ratings don't all go from fair to poor, this bridge needs maintenance, and it needs maintenance in the short term. So we felt to get an in-depth inspection of this bridge in the short term and come up with some maintenance program for it to make these repairs so that it stays in its fair condition would be a prudent way to proceed with respect to this particular structure. We never like to see ratings go down. We never like to see something go from good to fair or from fair to poor when we can head it off at the pass by doing some minor maintenance and minor repairs. Third on this list is the Rickards Road Bridge between Ferry Road and Pine Run Road. This is not inspected. There wasn't a lot of information on this bridge. We took a field view and observed that the superstructure was in fair condition, which means the beams and the deck. The substructure was in fair condition, had some cracks in it, but they weren't too bad. The barriers, the railings, they were not in great condition. In fact, the railings are inadequate and substandard. And the stream was in fair to poor condition. Again, most of the stream was in fair condition, but there was a couple of locations where there's some erosion and some scour, potential undermining of the abutments, where you really need to put this on the list and get this situation addressed, because we don't want those. We want to correct the stream rating and get it to fair, and we want to correct the barriers or railings and get that up to either good or fair as well. Some photos that we took during our inspection. Here's a good shot of the bridge. The railings, again, they're substandard. They're inadequate. They don't meet any kind of safety, modern day safety criteria. Here's the barrier on one of the wing walls. It's not going to stop anything. I mean, it's pretty well deteriorated, more than 50% of its cross section. The beams, again, fair condition, but you need to keep them in that fair condition because there's already some corrosion from spalling. And here you can see the corrosion in detail and the spalling. of the concrete. We want to try to arrest that and mitigate as much of the corrosion as possible. You're not going to abate it. You're never going to get rid of it. But we can do some things there, maintenance-wise and repair-wise, to keep this bridge open and in a fair to good condition once it's repaired. All right. And the fourth bridge on the high priority list is Old Colonial Road between Shady Retreat Road and Limekiln Road. This actually isn't a bridge, it's a galvanized pipe. There is no superstructure because it is a pipe, buried pipe. Substructure, we consider the pipe and its outlet works. That is essentially the structure. It's in fair to poor condition. The upper part of it's in fair condition, but the base where the stream runs in constantly is deteriorated, and you'll see some photos of that condition in a minute. There's barriers or railings. Basically, is a split rail type fence, which is again inadequate. Approach roadways are in fair condition, and the stream's actually in fair condition at Old Colonial Road. Okay. Again, it's located in a residential housing development. Here's one of the end walls. Now, I'm not sure if this is the upstream end or downstream end, but they're both typical. The end wall itself is in fair condition. However, if you look at the pipe, you can see the bottom, almost the bottom half, the third of the pipe is completely corroded. And I actually had a close-up, which from your vantage point may be difficult to see, but the bottom portion of that pipe within the corroded area is actually eaten all the way through in some of these corrugations. And this condition needs to be corrected, again, sooner rather than later with either maintenance, repair, or some sort of rehabilitation to save that pipe so that the deterioration doesn't go any further than where it is now. Because once this goes, what's going to happen is it's just going to drop. It doesn't give you any warning. It just drops. It says, okay, I've had enough. Now I'm going to fail. So we want to get this condition, first of all, inspected. We want to get in there and take a look at it, and then once it's observed and we measure the amount of corrosion that's actually there, then we come up with a game plan for attempting to mitigate the corrosion and to leave it at a fair condition. Okay. Does anyone have any questions on the high priority bridges that we'd like to put on a list to be inspected at this point?
The Old Colonial sounded like it was a little more dangerous than the other three, like it could collapse at any time.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't suggest that about the first three. Am I missing something?
No, I'm just stating that it's a sudden failure when it does decide to collapse. It's a very sudden failure. You don't get many warning signs.
I know, but so that does suggest to me that maybe that one should be first.
No, it's small. It's if it collapses, it can only drop a certain amount. It's not like a bridge that fails. When a bridge fails, it fails and the entire 18, 20-foot span drops. This, if it drops, it leaves more of a depression, and while you don't get any warning of the depression tells you something happened. So you do get a little bit more warning.
Oh, okay.
When I say high priority, top four, I mean these should all be done. There's no real order. I ranked them 1 through 4 only because I had to give them a number. But the top four should be the top four, and they should all be done.
What would be the next step then? You say you have to go out and inspect and do a plan for repair, maintenance, remediation, or whatever, restoration. You would do that, and and then you would do the work, or that would get done by another entity.
What needs to be done is
a contract out to a contractor.
Correct.
You would do that.
The first thing that you need to do is to get a baseline on all of your stream crossings. Mm-hmm. The baseline is the in-depth inspection. So you want to have all the bridges that are high priority and medium priority inspected, I believe, by the end of this year. That's my opinion. Should happen by the end of this year. The ones on the low priority list should happen either this year or next year. Should be by the end of 2014. That gives you an idea of how you can allocate your resources. In other words, we really don't know how to allocate those resources until they're inspected and we see what the real problems are. We're just going by a visual inspection and what we get from another visual inspection that PennDOT did on 3 of their bridges. So essentially, you don't have a baseline right now. And in order to start somewhere, it's like a doctor trying to diagnose something without an X-ray or an MRI. We have nothing right now. We just have our visual perception, and that only goes so far. We really need to get, the township really needs to get inspections done so you can develop a program and allocate your resources wisely. You don't want to be throwing, in other words, you don't want to be throwing money into, to your point, we get down there, we find out Old Colonial is in really bad shape. That may go to number 1 on that list of high priorities. So we may renumber them or re-rank them once an in-depth inspection is done on those 4 bridges.
Okay, thanks. Questions?
Mr. Jadzewski, I spent the weekend, at least on Sunday, looking for your bridges, and in fact, very much saw me going up and down. Some of these you can't find.
They're difficult.
I thought I was on scavenger hunt for bridges. There are many I didn't find, so if you saw a car going back and forth, that was me. But the ones I did find, I certainly agree. I mean, your analysis was very good, by the way. And I don't know anything about bridge construction, but it was very detailed, very thorough. And looking, the one that hit me more than any, for what it's worth, was the Quarry Road, Edison Road and Quarry. I mean, that to me needed attention. And that leads me to my question. That is one of these state ones that they're supposed to be checking every 2 years. Am I missing something that we're not getting good feedback from them, or how did it get in the condition it is if every 2 years the state looks at it? That's my question.
Well, they have a numerical system that they rank the bridges and rank the maintenance requirements on bridges, and once that number falls below a certain number, then they have to act, and you get priority codes. You have a immediate priority code, then you have a highest priority code, and then you have routine, schedule your maintenance. And sometimes, if that number doesn't change in the course of 6 years or 8 years, because they're biannual inspections, they have to do them every 2 years. It's a federal mandate. If that number doesn't change and that doesn't get any worse, then you're never going to move up at the priority list. So, and they're not going to force you to until it becomes a critical priority. When it becomes a critical priority, then there has to be action. So you could go 6, 8, 10 years and have that number stay at a 5 or a 6, and then all of a sudden it becomes a 3 one day, and they call you and say, listen, now you have to do something about your bridge. So it's, unfortunately, that's the system and that's the way it works.
I just thought maybe we were missing something or we weren't getting their feedback, because I agree with you. I mean, it's definitely a high priority, and I assume that comes under also with Mario working in conjunction, looking at some of these structures.
Well, our firm does, bridge inspection for PennDOT. And
right, they do. Absolutely. In fact, we use some of Pickering, Courts, and Summerson's reports to develop some of the information that we did on these structures.
Okay, so you guys know each other.
Sure, absolutely. Okay. I coached his son in wrestling, too. and Chief Logan's.
That's what happened to you.
That's what happened.
That's what happened. See, he tried his hand at it. Look what happened. What I try to do is I prioritize the bridges based not on necessarily the worst condition of the bridge in terms of the priority to allocate resources. My understanding of my assignment here was to give you a prioritization list to be able to allocate resources in a responsible way, so that we're spending the taxpayer dollars in a responsible way. And if we can keep a bridge from going poor and keeping it fair by spending, $50,000 now or $75,000 now instead of $400,000 5 years from now to replace it, and I can get 10 years or 15 years out of that bridge, I'm going to do it for you. At least I'm going to try.
Mm-hmm. You did exactly what we asked you to do.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any comments, questions?
probably need to analyze your budget and probably need to put out an RFP for the next step here.
I agree. 1 through 4, and then, I guess, 5 through 7, I think we need to have somebody look at them and do a report and do recommendations.
That's the first step, is the report, yes.
And make recommendations.
The only other thing that we need to discuss is some of these bridges, we found that they may qualify for PennDOT dollars for inspection. That's in the, if you look at the last page of my executive summary, there's actually 10 bridges that we feel are within the municipality that would qualify to be on the national bridge inventory. And out of those 10 bridges, PennDOT already inspects 3 of them. A little bit too quick. I've highlighted those with the blue dots. I mean, I didn't highlight those with the blue dots. I highlighted 7 that they haven't inspected with blue dots. They should be added, in our opinion, should be added to the list of bridges that PennDOT inspects on a biannual basis. So if you look at, I give you in the executive summary a little bit of insight into which bridges and why we feel they should be inspected. But on the last page, if you look at my stream crossing PennDOT BMS candidates list, I've highlighted the 3 in, looks kind of like a goldish orange. Edison Road near Quarry Road, they already inspect. Chapman Road between Ferry Road and Pine Run Road, they already inspect. And Turk Road between Sourman Road and Eastern Road, they already inspect. The others that are on that list, they don't inspect, but we feel that they make good candidates for inspection. The upside to having them inspect the bridges is that you get 80% of the money back from the state. So in other words, they're responsible for 80% of the inspection costs for each of those bridges. You're only responsible for 20%. And that 20% is taken out of your liquid fuels allocation in the year that the inspections are actually performed by PennDOT. So every 2 years for each bridge, they're taking 20% of the inspection costs from your liquid fuels allocation, which I hate to cut my own throat or Mario's throat in terms of engineering services. You can't get it done any cheaper. You really can't. It's a smart move to put those bridges on the biannual inspection program. Take the 80% money, pay the 20% out of liquid fuels allocation, and call it a day.
Based on this report, I would recommend that the manager develop an RFP, request for proposals, and engaging the memorandum provided by Dick John in the drafting, so that we can move ahead with these recommendations.
What about the first one? That include that's for $3,000. Is that correct, Dick? To have them start the list for the state. That's only $3,000.
Well, let me do with the RFP first.
Okay.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Question. Okay.
If the state bridges are on a biannual frequency, they must be inspected. What's the township's schedule for doing the township bridges?
Just a little clarification.
Okay.
They're all township bridges, even the ones inspected by the state.
Okay. So 10 of
they're all ours.
Okay, but they're inspected by the state on a biannual basis. So that's 10 out of the 34. So what's the frequency then for the other 24 to be inspected? You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Okay.
As of right now, they're on a 2-year inspection cycle, should the board approve it. That's where we are. What do you mean, no?
Well, wait, no, I'm not sure that I follow you either.
I think he's referring to past practice.
What's the existing practice?
The only bridges that have been inspected by any engineering firm that I'm aware of were the so-called state bridges.
That's why we initiated this process.
Okay. All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 And now they're put in the form of a motion, the number one on Dick's recommendation that we immediately engage JEI to gather information necessary to obtain PennDOT approval, accepting the 7 additional bridges be added to the PennDOT's biannual inspection list in a total amount of approximately $3,000 or less. Is there a motion? Yes?
Motion, or I'll make the motion. Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. You're good to go.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Fuels bid for 2013. Got the memo from Mr. John. Is there a motion to approve the bid?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
2013 records retention and disposal in the form of a resolution. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
An application for hookup to public sewers, 418 Pebble Hill Road.
This is an existing parcel that is vacant, and it butts the sewer treatment plant in Green Street, and they had 2 other lots previously where they connected across the stream, and they have provided the information to make that connection.
Is there a motion to approve the hookup?
So moved.
Any questions? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Ventresca minor subdivision.
Board will recall you approved a minor subdivision for the Ventresca tract, and they are going to sell the vacant lot to the New Britain Borough. But in any event, this development agreement reflects your approval and also reflects their contributions for the fee in lieu of improvements and so forth. So staff would recommend that the board approve the agreements for the Ventresca minor subdivision.
Is there a motion?
Move for
Make a motion.
approval.
All right.
Second.
Any questions? Everyone remembers this deal?
Absolutely. It's excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right. Eagle Scout proclamation, Jacob Snively, Troop 71. Is there a motion to
Move
approve the
for approval.
proclamation? Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Congratulations. Treasurer's report for April 16, 2013. It was received electronically by us all. Is there a motion to
Move
approve?
for approval.
Second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the bills list for April 16, 2013, also received electronically. Is there a motion to approve?
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Kids Castle restoration update.
I believe Mr. Biederman is here from the newly formed committee.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, good evening.
I have to take off my baseball hat. I'm on the board of Warrington Baseball, and basically...
Don't you have a hat with a K on it?
No.
Got hat in.
So I do appreciate the opportunity to share with our progress, but also our request tonight to looking into making sure that we have an agreement between our committee and the Board of Supervisors, and basically making sure that we really make sure our project is a success. To start us off, we have a brief presentation. We're going to start off with Rosemary Heater. Come on up. And she'll be talking about our progress to date. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosemary Heater, and I am the logistics coordinator for Safe Kids Castle, and I am overseeing the restoration, the design, and the art and environment, the art and beautification committee, as well as the cleanup committee. So we just wanted to give you a few updates as to what's going on, and you're going to push the return button? Sure. Is that what I do? No. I just want to know if that's what I do, because I don't want to mess it up.
I can do that.
So demolition of the damage, I'm grateful to Scarborough for recommending or pointing out how nicely the demolition was done. That was done by Zavetta Excavators, which would have cost us $35,000, and that was a pure donation for him. He was very gracious of coming on and being very particular about working. We also had gotten the dumpsters and the canisters, and Mr. Tenari, who donated probably, I think, about 8 dumpsters.
They can't hear you. Could you speak up to the microphone?
The Tenari canisters estimated value of their donation was about $15,000. They came all throughout those 2 days, taking all of the dumpsters. I think we used about 8, and there's still 1 there being used. And so we worked very closely with them to make sure that everything came out safely. Thank you. Power washing was done by Jack from Pro Coat Painters, and his value, he was there for about 5 days. Power washed. I have to tell you, I was down there one of those days. I was amazed at the amount of dirt that came off that castle with the power washing. And so he, again, him and another guy helped and stained the castle. I don't know if you've been down to see it, but it looks great. The castle turrets have been protected. They are red. They will also be done on the first floor as you go into the castle itself. We are keeping the turrets that are there. There's 4 of them, and they will also be covered, and there'll be more work continued to be done on that. And that estimated was a value of about $5,000. He was there for 2 days with all his folks to help out. The use of our construction equipment was donated and continues to be donated by George's Tools, an estimate about $5,000 at this point, the lift for the days. And we are in the process right now of putting in the flooring. It is awesome. It is a red, very durable material that is going in, and we actually had Munn's construction there today, and they will be there tomorrow to do the onset of that installation of the flooring, and then we will be working with other contractors and volunteers to do that. Food has been provided for various, our volunteers that have been down there, various functions that we've had, and probably in the range of $5,000 at this point. And I also want to point out, we have other people coming on board with lots of donations, but also there is going to be a security system that I understand the chief has been talking with Scott Seidman from Tech Solutions in Pennsylvania. That estimated value of a donation is about $15,000. We are going to be paying for some very minute pieces of equipment, but most of it, all of his labor and everything, are going to be included.
So, basically, as we've sent a letter to the Board of Supervisors, our issue that we're presenting tonight is that we're kind of in a quandary because we feel that what we're trying to accomplish has, or at least at the time we sent this letter, there were some obstructions. There was a feeling that there was a delay in check processing. There was a feeling that there was some miscommunication between our group and the Board of Supervisors. There was we wanted to be on an agenda for a certain contract for consulting, and there seemed to be delay there. So we wrote this letter, which is why we're on the agenda this evening, and hopefully there's a lot of people in Kids Castle involved right now. And I really am happy and glad to see the community participate in all this. As I said, we got over 120 volunteers, 1,500 Facebook group members, but more importantly, we have over 500 online donors. We've already raised $76,000 to really bring Kids Castle, not only restore it, but also make it the premier family destination in Bucks County for years or even generations to come. But the reason we're here tonight, to be quite candid, is that, as I said, we had some communication issues. So actually yesterday, I actually met with Stephanie Mason, Township Manager, and really walked down it, and lo and behold, just like whenever you have a partnership with somebody, you understand that it's not always just one way. It's like marriage, you got to be 50-50, and found out that through talking with Stephanie that indeed, there is some miscommunication. And in fact, it's my understanding we do have some commitments now that we can get checks signed within a reasonable amount of time, depending on there's a process. There needs to be 3 signatures, things along those lines. But in essence, if it's really important, it can be done within 72, 96 hours, 4 days, I believe, is what I was told. And that's really going to help us move forward because I think everybody in this room, we want to make sure that this castle is up and running as quickly as possible. We have the summer coming up. Every single weekend, there's kids that go to the castle. They see the chain link fence And they go, why? Let me in. Yeah, let me in. And I'm sure at night, older kids might just go in. But the bottom line is that we're here to make sure we're all on the same team here. Now, in order to do that, though, we have to raise the money in order to do it, but we also need to be able to make decisions in order to do that. But so far, raising the money, we have cancer in the cash registers, we have the Save Kids Castle signage, we're setting up fundraising pages, etc. But in the end, there's some questions that we still continue to get hearing, which maybe the board of supervisors have heard as well, is that, why does it cost so much? This happens with me. I've been able to get donations from across the country. I've been fortunate enough to have friends from college who we went to school together, and as soon as I blasted out on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and everything like that, they came in, and together we raised about $2,500 just for the castle. And this is all out-of-state donations. And so, but I still had a question, why does it cost so much? And in fact, I asked the same question the very first time that I met Don Byers, who was originally part of the original build. Why does this cost $750,000? Why does that cost so much? All right? And the reason is that, as I think we all know, because of new codes, the UCC, which I just became aware of. I'm not a construction person whatsoever. But, times are a little different than 15 years ago. There's more codes, there's more things that we need to do, but also there's things like bathrooms, which then require plumbing and electricity and buildings all the way down there. There's things like a rubberized surface that is very low maintenance, so that in 5 years, trust me, I want to be at the castle. I don't want to be fundraising money in 5 years. Okay? I don't think anybody in this room wants to be fundraising money in 5 years. So in order to do it right, you have to make sure we have a great foundation, whether it's a foundation of a castle, whether it's a playing material, and we're going to have to spend the money. It's going to require money in order to do this. And while we have been successful in raising, I believe, we already had about $40,000 in there, something like that. But we've raised about $75,000, $80,000. We've had another $60,000 or so. I don't quote me on it, but apparently I am, though, on the TV. But in donated in-kind donations, that's just for the castle. And our vision, which we've shared with the Board of Supervisors, is to really make this the premier facility for our families in the community to spend their time with their children and their children's children, which is what we're all here for. In order to do that, a little bit about myself, my background. I've been working exclusively for nonprofits for 17 years. I run a software company called Donor Perfect. We have over 10,000 clients. Our clients raise about $40 billion a year. Some of them are large. They raise $10, $20 million. Most of them, however, are quite small. I will admit most of them are a little bit larger than the Kids Castle Initiative. However, in my experience, while it's easy, or quote-unquote easy, to raise $30,000, $40,000 by having a lot of bake sales, that's not really efficient use of raising a lot of money very quickly. I've never seen a campaign that raised over $500,000, which is what we're trying to do, succeed without having a consultant, a paid professional, as a strategic advisor. It's important because if you don't have that, the project will fail. Or, if it doesn't fail, it'll take 7 years. And I don't think anybody in this room wants us to be here 7 years from now.
I won't last.
But that's a choice. It's a great. My mother, thank God, goodness she's still alive. We all have choices in life. If that's a decision that we want to make because we want to be a conservative, that's absolutely fine. So, the motion that we want to put forward is that as a committee, we've been charged with making sure that we assist the Board of Supervisors to have the Kids Castle restoration and playground complex be a success. In order to do that, just like a coach of a basketball team, we have to make certain decisions on our own, or what we prefer, with a partnership with the Board of Supervisors. So we're not looking to make one-sided decisions, but we're looking to partner and make and have at least semi-autonomy to go out and help understand that we're going to have this contract in order to raise the amount of money to see the true vision, the three-stage process for Kids Castle. To have the bathrooms down there, to have the pavilion down there, to have the playground equipment down there. I'd love to see a spider web that's 30 feet high. All right, I've seen it in Mason, Ohio, because that's where I grew up in. They have it there, and it's all intertwined and enmeshed so that even if a kid goes up there, they can't fall more than 3 feet. I'd love to see swings that are all dynamically placed together so that the momentum of one moves the other one. I'd love to see slides and things like that. That's going to go around the castle. But unless we raise enough money, make sure that it's UCC approved, to make sure we've got the right architects and the engineering firms, to make sure we have a rubberized service, and more importantly, to make sure this endeavor, our vision, lasts for 20 years, we're going to need to have a strategic advisor. So because of all these reasons, we're sitting in front of you right now, and we've got a lot of support from the community, and we're asking, can we have a partnership, have the ability to have and sign this contract with a strategic advisor so that we can ensure the success of this project for generations to come.
I appreciate your presentation, and I commend everything that you guys are doing. It's a huge undertaking. I am, again, thank you everybody here tonight and everybody that's not here tonight for your commitment to Kids Castle. The issue that I see here is that while Kids Castle is a huge undertaking, the Kids Castle Committee is now a committee within Doylestown Township, just like all of the other committees that we have. So to say that a group of volunteers comes in, and, the way I'm viewing it is a group of volunteers comes in and says, we want to do this, we're going to do this, and then we get to a place of, but now we need a paid consultant to finish the job. We begin to run a slippery slope in that effect where we're going to set a precedent with other committees that are going to come through and have volunteers that are going to then ask to be paid.
That's an excellent question.
Well, what I was going to say, hi, my name is Lauren Sheehan. I am on the coordinating council of the committee, and when we had submitted our action plan and our budgets, the idea was to be very transparent with the Board of Supervisors about what we were going to need and the expenditures it was going to be, and that plan, or that expenditure for the strategic advisor position was included in the plan. So I guess that's my question back to you. Back to the Board of Supervisors.
But we're not bound to that plan, or you bound to that plan. It's just a proposal. We didn't approve that plan. We approved a resolution forming a committee of the Doylestown Township Board of Supervisors and representatives from the committee. That's what we approved. We did not approve your action plan or your proposals. You could have on here, you want gold-plated faucets for the bathrooms and a line item for that. We didn't approve that either. So anything over $500, we have to approve as an expenditure. We are responsible. We are the fiduciary arm of this whole project. So no, what we approved was the relationship between membership, some of your members, and this and the township.
Correct. And with that, in order to complete the job of what we've been set out to do, as professionals, we feel it's necessary to have this, basically a strategic advisor, because it's not just cat herding, it's not just organizing skills. There is a professional aspect of raising this type of money. And the thing that's different from our committee from others is that we're not using tax dollars. We've used our own money that we've raised on our own. And I could see completely the point with that. And at the same time, we're not trying to usurp any kind of thing. We're trying to, I've no, as my grandfather used to say, I have no dog in this hunt, except to say I'm trying to save this castle. And I'm doing it the best way I know how. And for 17 years working with nonprofits, raising, to be quite candid, billions of dollars, I know that just like You have architects, and you have realtors, and you have doctors, and you have lawyers and professions. You need a professional person to manage the volunteer resources in order to pull this off. That's based on my experience. And if you have been involved with a capital campaign, now, granted, a lot of folks have you have been involved with a capital campaign of, $1 million, $3 million, $10 million, whatever. There's paid staff at these nonprofits. They're absolutely paid, okay? But there's a code of ethics. It's a professional organization. I was just in San Diego with my colleague Lauren, and we went to it's called the Association of Fundraising Professionals. They have 3,000 people there, but it's 27,000 members. It's something where it's not fundraising, but strategy-wise, we believe our committee, this is necessary in order for us mutually to succeed.
I think, though, John, just to clarify, you guys, we talked a little bit about nonprofit, but you're not a nonprofit. So you're a committee of the township. That's what I'm trying to bring back. I know that there was talks on the table about becoming a 501c3, and I think we'd be having a different conversation then.
Right.
But because you became a committee of the township, there are other there's other committees on the township that operate all volunteer. That's what I'm trying to get to, and I understand each committee is different and has different undertakings. So I'm just, again, it gets down to an understanding of what kind of precedent are we setting where we're now starting to pay committee members to actually, when these committees are supposed to be all volunteer, and then we're now turning around to say, okay, well, now we'll pay a committee member to do the work.
Well, I think there's actually precedence, because when Kids Castle was first originated, my understanding is that Leathers was contracted as the architect and also the design and also the strategic project management of that. And they were paid at the time $31,000 and change, which, of course, in today's dollars is closer to about $50,000. And this proposal is set forth as less than $25,000. And more importantly, it's less than 10% of the allocated budget.
Right. He's professional. Yeah, but I think there's a distinction there. He was the professional. We have to pay our engineers and the architects. We do that. They can't donate their services. I think we have a problem with the plans now because they can't sign off on them.
But all our architects and engineers are all volunteering.
I understand that.
We couldn't possibly pay them and get this done with the
I
amount of
understand
hours that they
that,
put in.
but I don't think that the plans have been signed off on, have they?
They're not signed
Meaning
and
they're not
sealed yet.
sealed, are they
They're
sealed?
not signed and
That's
sealed
for
yet.
liability purposes. I mean, they're signed.
We can't accept plans that aren't signed and sealed by the architects and the engineers. And why they haven't done that is we have no idea. That's not our
Well, because we've had many conversations about it, the reality is that because the castle, and correct me if I'm out of line as far as the design, because I'm not an architect, is the castle, its pre-existing condition is not up to code. It is not up to code. It cannot be brought up to code. And so it is very difficult for us to even get any playground equipment. There is a whole big thing, and we've sat at table before with everybody about this, is the linking. No playground company will link to the castle, existing castle, because it is out of compliance. That's the reality of it. So there is nothing. We have a playground company that is going to certify their equipment. We have two rock walls with a path. We have a bridge with stumps with the matting, and we have like a fire pole road. Those pieces will be put in, but it is requirement of ours to secure. And we've talked with the different members of the township staff to know that we're going to be doing the linking, and that is okay. We're not going to be able to, none of our architects or engineers are going to seal those plans, and we were already told at a meeting that did not have to happen because of the existence of the
I don't mean to go off on a tangent here. I'm just saying that we have to pay our professionals, the planners and the engineers, the people we hire. So, but there is no precedent in Doylestown Township when a resident volunteers that they get paid.
Okay.
There is no precedent.
And I think the question, the clarification, or the miscommunication that we got is when we became a committee, we gave our plans and our budget to you at the same time. And so when we were told we were a committee, we assumed that you took all of that information. And so, therefore, when we started being questioned about all that, we would have stopped a long time ago. So we need to know really what you want us to do.
Right.
Because I'm telling you right now, as we stand here, as the person who's responsible for design and putting, we cannot have a seal of approval for the castle as it is. You will get no architect, whether you pay them or not, there will be no architect that will stamp plans because the castle is out of compliance.
Can I ask a question? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, John, if you're not prepared to answer. We talked at a Park and Rec meeting briefly regarding, John Bray, our chairman of the Park and Rec Committee, we had a discussion about plans. This kind of fits within what we were talking about.
We did. I have a few observations, really. First of all, I think we're all in support of renovating Kids Castle. We all recognize it as being an important icon for our community, an important place for our children, something that we're all proud of, not just in the township, but really in the region. It's grown into a regional amenity. And we all recognize that we have a large, very, very motivated group of dynamic individuals who are dedicated to raising the money to do this and to get it done. Not just the money, but also all the volunteers and materials and carpenters and other tradesmen involved in the process. They're all being mobilized. This is unique in Doylestown Township's history. I've been a volunteer in various committees and boards in the township for over 20 years. I never wanted to get paid, and neither do all of the other volunteers who work with the township. We have a very strong tradition in our township of volunteerism. I don't see that changing. I think that we have to recognize that we have a unique opportunity here, and we have some unique challenges. And I think that if we're all recognizing the value of this endeavor, we need to come together and figure out, within the context of public procurement laws, within the context of township tradition, how can we figure this out? Mr. Garton, I'm sure, will be a big help in this regard, and your goodwill is probably even more important. Let's not let this roadblock stop the process.
So agree. Agreed.
With respect specifically to the design, as many of you know, I am in the construction business. I own an engineering firm. I know very well what's involved in signing construction documents and what the risks are. I think that this is another challenge, and I'm not here tonight to tell you exactly how we can resolve it, but I think that if we focus on this and talk to Sinclair and see exactly what the requirements are, and what the township needs, and what the risks and liabilities are, we can probably figure that out.
Okay, thanks. Well, we have this committee. We have this committee of the Kids Castle and the township. That's where this discussion needs to take place. And let's go from there. I mean, I don't know when the next meeting.
Can I ask a quick question? Because anything, if I understand right, because you hit it on the head, you said that at whichever the date of the meeting was, we approved a resolution, right?
Yeah.
Is there something else that needs to be done to even have that conversation?
No, you have a meeting.
Okay.
I think there's a meeting. Is there a meeting scheduled? I think we need to get together. The folks who are made up of this township committee, township board. And anybody can come. I mean, any volunteer, any members of the Kids Castle organizing committee, anyone can come to this meeting. And Dick, our zoning officer, Stephanie, whoever, our liaison, will be there.
Okay.
And then let's hammer these things out. Okay?
Sure. And
I'll attend if you want me.
of course.
But let's remember, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater here.
We agree.
Yeah, we want to keep.
We're not.
When is
We're
your
not.
next scheduled meeting?
We want to keep this going.
Well, we want to move, and we'll make a meeting to meet with you because, honest with you, we have my team meeting for the demolition and for the is meeting every Wednesday evening.
Okay.
Now
I know there's like how many committees? I'm referring to like the main advisory.
Oh, there's 9 committees meeting every day. You can join us.
No.
The township committee.
But you haven't given us the under the resolution, you're required to meet 4 times a year, and I have not received that from, I've been communicating with Joe on
I will
that.
get that to you tomorrow.
We need a date.
We have every night of every month is the advisory team.
I don't know if I can wait until the next meeting.
No, we can't make that. Well, here's our dilemma. There are now 2 slides coming in that have been ordered at the tune of $12,000 each. Another slide, and then there is the 3 other pieces of the playground equipment. And so if there is going to be...
in front of the microphone.
I'm sorry. If there is going...
On TV.
I've never been told that you can't hear me. We need to get together as soon as we can because that other playground equipment, which is significant, is about to be ordered. I'm getting the final approvals for everything, and so
I'm just because I'm hearing like we can't wait. We have to like. So a contract on a strategic advisor is holding up you guys moving forward with what you were doing. You can't move forward with what you're doing unless. I'm just confused on why that is. I mean,
There's 2 components of the issue that need to be overcome. One is the issue about plans and signing and that sort of stuff.
Right.
That's the sliding board and all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
The second is this issue of someone being engaged or some entity being engaged to do the coordinating and fundraising. I think we can separate the 2 and deal with it separately because one thing involves code issues and technical people. The other is more a philosophical policy discussion. Seems to me that the immediate thing is to get through this code issue because you've got some things ordered. And we better make sure that we've got everything covered before stuff arrives and we have all kinds of hell break loose.
See, and those checks have to be approved. So they have to be paid for by and authorized by the township.
Right. The slides are already taken care of.
No, it comes through the committee, it goes through Dick John, Karen Sweeney, myself. They have a whole system in place with forms that get filled in. It comes out of the Kids Castle fund. Yeah.
The township's not paying for anything. It's all
Township's not paying for everything. It's all comes out of the Kids Castle fundraising.
Can we meet sometime this week?
Yes.
So let's tomorrow, let's circle the schedules and let's meet about this issue this week.
Yes.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you.
Rosemary, give me a call in the morning.
Thank you.
We can do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
And we'll have the other discussion about the other thing shortly thereafter.
Okay. We appreciate the time.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for all
your hard
you're doing.
work.
Okay,
work.
announcements. The next meeting of the Board of Supervisors is Tuesday, May 7, 2013. Kids Castle is closed and reopening June 2013. For more information, visit savekidscastle.org. Local Government Week is April 15th through the 19th. We're in it now, and Ms. Mannion and I are at elementary schools at the end of this week. Violence Prevention Forum is tomorrow here, 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. We are hosting ideas and information that we can take back to Harrisburg. Great American Cleanup is sponsored by the Doylestown Community Bike and Hike Committee. It's Saturday, April 20th, 10 a.m. to 10 to 12. Cleanup is at Route 202 Parkway Path at the Walter C. Berry Trailhead on New Britain Road. Arbor Day tree planting is April 20th, 8 a.m. And we'll conclude that at noon around at New Britain Road, entrance to the Central Park. The concert to benefit Kids Castle is April 20th, 3 to 7 p.m. at the Amphitheater in Central Park. Touch a Truck. Saturday, May 4th, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Central Park. It's free. At the same time, community yard sale is going to take place at 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. in Central Park. It's $25 a space if you've got your stuff you want to get rid of. Spring Has Sprung celebration of the dog park is Saturday, May 11th, noon to 4. Meet and greet, raffles, demonstrations, food, and a lot of fun. Home Run Derby, May 15th, 5 p.m. to dusk at Turk Baseball Fields. Pre-registration is necessary. And visit our website or call our building here at 348-9915 for more information. And the annual Doylestown Township Golf Outing, Monday, June 3rd. Doylestown Country Club. Registration deadline is May 17th, and I have lots of sign-ups here for you. And that's it. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.
We have documents to be signed.